Hey, beautiful star beings. This is Megan Mermaid, and I'm super excited about this YouTube live format. I have not used it yet, and I keep saying, oh, I'm going to do it, and then something else happens. But anyway, I'm here and I'm using it, and I'm so glad to be here. So it's weird because when I first had the idea of starting these YouTube lives, I was like, all this star seed information is coming through, and I want to share it and talk about all of the different star nations. And yeah, I'm totally going to do that. But what was coming to me so strongly this week that I feel like needs to be addressed is the topic of karmic partners. Now, I feel like this topic doesn't always get addressed correctly. And it gets lumped in with the whole conversation about like twin flames. And so it's almost like you have your twin flame and your karmic partner, and you have to work out your karma with your karmic partner, and then you'll find your twin flame. And I don't even know how I feel about the whole twin flame thing, honestly, but I just want to take that out of the entire conversation. And I want to start a new conversation about what it means to have a karmic partner. So, if you're watching this, you're more than likely a starseed, or you know someone that is, or maybe you just don't know that you're a starseed yet. But as a starseed, when we come to Earth, we don't come alone. We come with a group of souls that we choose to learn lessons with. It's called our soul group. So every incarnation, these members of our soul group will appear. I mean, we don't see all of them in every incarnation, but they're in a lot of them. And there's at least one or two in every incarnation. How do I know this information? It's channeled. I work with a high council known as the High Council of Syrian Elders, as well as the Mermaids of Sirius, which is a subset of the Syrian High Council. So, use your discernment always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But I just feel really called to share this. So be open to the conversation if it applies to you or if it's interesting to you. So yeah, in this soul group, we have like these series of interactions with our soul family members, our soul group members. And because we live in a free will universe, everything that we do creates karma. So I want you to get over the idea that karma is always bad, right? Karma is just the action and then the reaction. It's what we do and the effect of that. Okay. So when we create karma, it's because we have experienced certain situations with other beings. And through that, we have created attachments, we've created lessons, we've created experiences where we've grown, but also where we've triggered each other. So, say, for example, that in one lifetime, and when we talk about the lifetimes conversation, I want you to consider rather than past lives, which gives you the idea that it happened before. We live in quantum reality, in a quantum universe where everything is happening at once. So every time that we have a memory of a parallel lifetime, because we reconnect with a karmic partner, it's because we're collapsing that other timeline to come back to this place of 0 point. If none of that makes sense to you, it's okay. You don't need to understand it for the purpose of this conversation. But I just wanted to set the stage. So, if in some parallel lifetime you met a member of your soul group, and maybe you dated or you were married and one of you hurt the other, or one of you created intimacy with the other. When we talk about sexual intimacy with two beings, especially if it's very very deeply connected to one of your soul group members, number one, it's going to create this intensity and this recognition because the two of you not only feel each other's energy, which is already magnetic, but you also feel the energy of your home planet. So that's where that magnetic energy comes from, where it's like, I know this person. They feel so familiar. The reason they feel familiar is because they remind you of home, they remind you of the star system that you came from. Okay, but in that, that's usually how it starts, right? You feel very familiar, or if someone feels very familiar, you feel very magnetized to someone, you feel very connected to someone. And then you create karma, right? Because you both have wounds, you both have issues within yourself, and through the mirror of relationship, they show up. Okay, so then what happens? Especially in the case of intimacy, sexual intimacy, there's what's called a horus that's created. So, especially if your karmic partner was from the Egyptian lifetimes, where sex magic and all of that was really powerful at that time. Right now, we're working through a lot of healing of that Egyptian lifetime. So, there may be a lot of karmic partners that are popping up for you that are helping to heal this. So, what is the horus? The horus is a third entity, a third energy that is created when two powerful beings come together in sexual union. So, this horus, this other entity of a relationship, continues to search through all of these parallel lifetimes to find that karmic partner, to find that match like magnets, to come back together to neutralize the karma. So this can be a fun lesson, right? And it's also going to feel really challenging. So, how do you know if you've met a karmic partner? First of all, that person is going to feel very familiar. You might feel like you've known them for a really long time. You might just be really drawn to them. Sometimes you can just look at a picture and it's like their energy is just whoa, right? Then, if you talk, you might notice that there is an intensity in your relationship. Perhaps things progress very quickly, or you just feel like almost consumed by it. And then what happens is there's these cycles of growth and integration. And depending on where both of you are at, if both of you are in a stage of awakening, these integration cycles can happen very quickly. But it is a necessary stage where you come together and you activate each other, and then you have to step back. You come together and you activate each other, and then you have to step back. But the thing is that there's already this karma that's created. So, say, for example, one person hurt the other person by leaving, and another person felt abandoned by that. Then, every single time there's this dynamic of integration and coming back together, it's like those wounds are triggered again. So, a karmic partner is going to mirror back to you whatever lessons that you need to learn and experience and heal within yourself. So, for example, you might be learning consciousness, or you might be learning confidence, or you might be learning boundaries. And it's going to be very clear because that person is going to mirror back to you ways that you want to kind of get mad or like project onto that person. So, for example, I'll give you an example where uh, I recently had an interaction with someone where it happened very quickly, and it was like the energy was super intense, right? And then all of a sudden it was just like crickets for like 2 days, right? And then in the meantime, like my wounds are being activated, like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I say? But then when I stepped back into this bigger picture, I was like, okay, I see it. Where there's this like vulnerability because the timelines, how do I say this? That when you first meet again in this lifetime, that memory, that remembrance is so strong that it overpowers the fear of intimacy. But because we are living in this timeline currently and not the other one, this timeline starts to become clearer and more solid. And so then it creates those fears of like, what am I doing? What am I saying? Like, this is too much. And so it's like, either side might kind of give a lot and then step back, give a lot and then step back. And that's the cycles of integration. So you've got to figure out, first of all, once you recognize that, okay, this is a karmic partner, they feel familiar, I feel very drawn to them, I know I'm learning something with them, but what is the lesson? What do you do? Okay, so first you've got to check in with your energy because sometimes this karma is so ingrained that it is not possible to work it out like in a relationship. So, for example, say you were like in a romantic relationship with someone in a parallel lifetime, but it was just too much damage that was done, and maybe this person is not super awakened, or you're not in a space yet where like you can kind of neutralize that, it would be damaging and it would create more karma to continue our relationship with that person. But it doesn't mean that if you haven't, or that if you have had like kind of a tumultuous past, that you couldn't make it work now. It's sort of like you have to acknowledge and understand what the lesson is, and then once you can figure that out within yourself, you don't necessarily have to figure it out with a partner. And especially if you know, you feel this on an energetic level, I feel like a big part of this talk today is that I just want you to know you're not crazy. You're not making it up. Even if you barely know someone and you just feel it. Number one, you're not crazy. And number two, they feel it too. Energy doesn't lie. So when you're with a karmic partner or around a karmic partner, that magnetism, that energy, they will also feel it. So oftentimes we try to negate the feeling or think that it's just us, but it's not. So you're not crazy. You're not the only one that feels it. And number three, you might not want to speak it just yet. So, I mean, not everybody's open to have that conversation, right? It's not going to be like, hey, you remember Egypt when like we were doing sex magic and like, we were doing it in a wrong way? Well, hey, like time to like clear that up. That might not always be received well, right? So you got to ask yourself, okay, I'm recognizing this lesson. I'm recognizing this person is familiar, but what do I do now? So, one of the ways that you can figure out what the lesson is through astrology. When you look at your synastry, which is putting two charts together, it's going to tell you how your north and south nodes interact. When you look at the south node, it's going to tell you the lessons that you learned together in previous lifetimes. The north node is going to tell you the experiences that you're learning now. Okay, so sometimes as you start to look at that and kind of unravel that, even just an awareness is already starting to neutralize the karma. Once the karma is cleared, you decide. You can stay with a karmic partner or not. Sometimes it's a lot. It's going to be a very, very, very clear mirror for you, okay? And the reason for that is because these karmic people are members of your soul group that recognize the truest vibration of your energetic soul signature. And so when they are mirroring back that to you, it's going to be covered by all of this fear, all of this stuff that you've built up over time, what I call the fear body, what's been channeled for me. And based on how much energy is needed to clear within your fear body, this mirror can be very affronting, this mirror of your karmic partner. So you've got to figure out if you're ready to have that level of a mirror yet. And if you're not, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you haven't done the clearing or whatever. It's basically just an acknowledgement in your soul that I'm not making this up. I'm not crazy. I feel very connected to this person. I don't know what it is. We don't have to know. We can just be willing. And then from that willingness, just figuring out how it's going to play out now. So, oftentimes, especially if it's like masculine and feminine energy, regardless of what gender you identify with or no gender, we all have masculine and feminine energy, and we're all going to be more dominant in one of those. It's very rare that someone is not more dominant in one energy than in another, regardless of what gender you identify with. And so there's going to be this play always between the masculine and the feminine energy. So if you are meeting a karmic partner and you are in your feminine energy, the lesson is always going to be stay in your feminine energy, because whenever you try to chase, whenever you try to do the work, and it's going to feel challenging because you're going to feel very magnetized to this being. But the game is that every time you feel magnetized and drawn to them, you've got to pour into you. Okay. If you're in your feminine, they can come in through your masculine, right? And at the same time, you've also got to create boundaries in your feminine where you decide what you allow, especially if you're healing karma from Egypt or Atlantis, where the feminine was not treated in as kind a regard as it deserved to be. Okay, so remember that we're all actors. We're just playing this game, pretending God pretending to be Megan Mermaid, God pretending to be whoever you are for this game of expansion. Okay, and so we've all played every part. We've played the perpetrators, we've played the victims, we've played it all. So when you let go of that judgment and you recognize that even if karma was created, it was created on a stage of a game of life, and that we do not have to make ourselves wrong for it or make anyone else wrong, but we do have to recognize that these people are very, very good teachers for us. And they're going to show us all of the ways that we self sabotage or all of the ways that we push things away, especially maybe pushing things away that are good for us, that we want. And oftentimes, karmic partners are going to bring up a lot of unworthiness for us. Okay. So, you might you might see that this person is a mirror of all the things that you want, but you might not see that you are also that. So then what happens? It creates this triggering response, pushing away, pulling, and it's really just this recognition that this person has come into your life to teach you something. And the lesson is always going to be to go within and figure it out. They're going to mirror it back to you, but you've got to go within and figure it out. And you've got to let it play out. You know, sometimes karmic partners are very temporary. They could be for the whole rest of this lifetime. But once that you learn how they're showing you how to love yourself more, the more that the karma will be neutralized. So I hope that that's helpful. If you want to learn more, if you feel like you're dealing with a karmic partner situation right now and you want support and guidance, visit my link in bio. I offer one on one sessions, both individual or couples group sessions. So uh, we can talk about it, we can dive into it. I also offer galactic channeled readings, and you can connect with your star family, or we can kind of go into the Akashic records and sort of unravel and unpack some of the other lifetimes, because once you start looking at these other lifetimes, it'll make sense, the patterns that are happening now. So I love you guys so much, and I'm definitely looking forward to creating more of a regular pattern of coming on live. And I also love in this format that you can watch it again. So I believe in you and I love you, and visit the link in my bio to learn more about my work. Have a great day.